What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Daily Refinement. Let us know in the chat if there are any audio issues. This is a live stream. I have a really wonderful guest here today, but there's a lot of people who are not making enough money reselling. And this is going to happen every time you start a new income stream, especially reselling. It takes a while to build up your inventory and to get suppliers. So in the meantime, Chelsea is a fellow Bay Area resident. She lives across the water in San Francisco. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but she does make a full-time living in the Bay Area being a micro influencer, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Thanks so much for having me, Chris. We only recently met, and I've been binging his videos, and I learn so much every day. And like Chris mentioned, reselling is a very small piece of my income pie. I am a full-time content creator, Bay Area born and raised, and I do mostly fashion, beauty, and travel content with a little bit of lifestyle, making money, and wine popped in. I we're going to talk a little bit today about the different ways you can monetize as a micro influencer. It is totally doable. You don't have to have millions of followers to make money online, and you don't even have to have any followers. You could have 0 followers and start making money today. And that's like the biggest takeaway we want you to have. And we're really excited for some other videos we have in the works. So today is part 1, and then we'll have more to come. I love reselling, but again, I only have so many hours in the day, and I don't have the time to source inventory or go thrifting or that kind of thing. So I mainly source from my own closet, but what's really cool is that I use Poshmark a lot. I've also worked with Poshmark in a sponsored capacity doing content on my blog and my Instagram. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the live today.
Yeah, and we're basically going to go over sort of a 3-step approach to earning money as a micro influencer. Most people can get started with this immediately, so you don't have to wait for yourself to have a big following. In fact, the term micro influencing is pretty much anybody under 100,000 followers. There's also another term I learned today called nano influencer. So if you're small like us, we're both under 100,000 followers, you can still earn money immediately to offset maybe not earning enough money reselling, because reselling, again, can take a while to build up. We're going to go over 3 ways to do it, and those 3 ways are affiliate income, which you can do right away. Everyone can do this right now. There is sponsored posts, which Chelsea knows a lot more of, and that's like working with brands directly. I have those opportunities, but I've run out of time. Also, I don't fully understand them. That's why it's awesome to have Chelsea here. Also, her website is Chelsea Pearl, and linked in the description below. Give her a follow on Instagram and YouTube. And the final one is just ad revenue. So these 3 ways you can earn money on the side while you're building your reselling income. And most of these are somewhat passive after you've made the content. So once you make the post, it earns you money for a certain period of time. You're going to earn more money right in the beginning than later. But, we're going to go over those exact processes and how you can offset it. The multiple streams of income thing sounds good, but we really want to show you guys how to do that.
Yeah, we're super excited.
And another thing that is really important is you hear the passion. I want to monetize my passion. I want to do I'm so passionate about something. Well, it's really flooded in certain categories, like let's say fashion or beauty. Trying to stand out, you're competing against people with huge budgets and teams and already an existing following. You have to jump in there and try to make a name out of yourself. Just because you love it scares me. I don't like the advice, follow your passion personally. I like follow the money more, at least in the beginning. So we like to talk about, like, in the beginning, you might be trading your time for money, and until you get your feet underneath you. And I think this is just something very important, as so many people quit their jobs or hate their 9 to 5.
Yeah, we want to know, like, let's get real for a moment here. How many of you are making a full-time income or just your bare minimum living expenses reselling alone?
Right. Let us know in the chat. Are you making enough money? Is it just a side hustle? Are you trying to make it into a full-time hustle? Do you work full-time and you build your reselling income to pay for an early retirement or a college fund? Are you making enough just reselling? That's what we're trying to address right now, because probably the most common email I get is, how can I make my sales go faster? And it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's really hard.
So we have Solid Sales in the chat saying that their 9 to 5 office job closed. I think both of us are in a similar situation where we basically left the working force, and now they are scrambling to make reselling work full time, and it can be very stressful.
Yeah, and I know the generic advice is the multiple streams of income, but
Yeah,
it is what it is. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, and even with a 9 to 5 job, you can't control if and when you might get laid off or fired or let go, or the company doesn't
Hmm.
do so well. These are real world things that happen. So it is great to have multiple sources of income, and you can definitely do it without a large audience.
And there's a couple ways to approach this. You can do what 405 Resale is doing and just living off of your bare essentials. This is something really popular. Marie Kondo is causing everybody to downsize not just their where they live, but also all of their expenses. For me, believe it or not, I've scaled my expenses all the way down. Besides rent, it's $750 a month. So it's very, very low. And that takes a lot of pressure off of me. And so my reselling income just stays in it. I don't have to take any of the money out. And this also works in the influencer world because you can keep adding on more pillars that earn income, but you need usually help.
Yeah, and I like to call myself very scrappy. Um, Even in the early days, and still to this day, I will shoot videos on my own. I'll set up a tripod and get my remote out and get it done. I'm not reliant on where I'm at, or a photographer, or somebody to help me technically. I'm the one-stop shop. Like, I love collaborating with others and working with talented photographers and videographers, but I think to preserve every dollar and cent that's coming in, when you get started, you can do it yourself. And we're living proof of that.
Hmm. And Silver in the chat is mentioning that they struggle with knowing your exact numbers. This is really, really important. And it's much easier when you're an influencer in a sense that you get paid X amount to do some kind of post versus with reselling, you need to figure it out. And if you have an inventory of over 100 items, it can be very time consuming figuring out what stuff is, how much are you really invested, how much profit exactly are you making. And so my advice is always, it's way better to know exactly where you're at than be big. I know people who do $2,000 a day in revenue. And when they go home, they have fights with their spouses because they don't know how much of that is net. They have no idea. Versus if you have a small store that makes an extra $500 a month, and you have your regular day job that gets you the same paycheck every 2 weeks, those families are much more stable, and they may not have huge revenue numbers, but that's just vanity. You want to know exactly where you're at. And when you are a micro influencer, you definitely think a lot about your budget, and scrappy is a great way to put it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And also with my Poshmark business and side hustle, I have a lot of followers, but I don't make a lot of sales. And the average sale price of my items is relatively low. So that's one thing I've learned from Chris's videos after binging them. I need to up the average order price and just kind of list more and be a little more disciplined with that.
I have three Poshmark accounts. Two, you're allowed to have two closets, and then my fiance has an account that we only do private label. And I don't do any sharing of other people's closets. I don't participate in a lot of the community stuff, which is frowned upon. Like, a lot of people, especially in the Poshmark community, are not really happy that I don't spend a lot of time promoting other people's products, but it doesn't improve the search rank. And that's mainly what I'm going for on the platform, is trying to optimize search. When you are a micro influencer, you want to basically influence in markets that can earn money. And it's like, there are so many passionate people that say they're successful because of their passion, but they're also passionate in things that make money. If you're passionate about Gap, it's a lot more difficult to monetize that than influencing for Chanel. If you have the right look, you can earn $10,000 and above for a single post, versus Gap might give you $5 to write a 10-page article on their brand. It's totally different when you're working with different companies. And maybe you can talk about how you start reaching out to some of these companies.
Yeah. Should we talk about the monetization pillars?
Yeah, we should.
Tease that out a little bit. So
Mhm.
we're going to be talking about these terms. We don't want anybody to be confused as we throw them out. I like to think of monetization as a micro influencer in 3 pillars. Pillar 1 being ads. So ads, you see those pre-roll ads on YouTube, banner ads you might see on a blog, things of that nature that just run in the background, and your earnings are generally based on how many eyes you can get on that piece of content. The rates do vary. It's called CPM. You might hear us talk about that a little more. Number 2 is affiliate links. Anybody can do this. We're going to talk a little bit more about it in this stream. Basically, I send you a link, you buy something, I earn a small commission back. So I'm referring a sale. The retailer thanks me by sending me a little small portion of the sale. The rates vary. There's tons of companies that do this, and I guarantee you're going to find at least one that will relate to the kind of content you do and things you're passionate about. And number three is sponsored posts. And for me personally, and a lot of micro influencers I know, this is how they make most of their take home pay at the end of the month. This is what pays my bills. These are defined projects. I'm almost like an independent contractor for a company, making a defined piece of content that they can either reuse for their own marketing materials, whether it's banner ads, billboard ads, content they're going to repurpose on their social media channels, um, or they're getting access to my audience. So I have an engaged audience of people who are interested in what I'm up to, fashion, beauty, lifestyle, wine, and so on. And they want me to make some content that around their brand can reach my audience in an authentic way. And that's really how most micro influencers, make their income. And the income is somewhat dependent on your following size, but also your area of expertise and the specific project it might be. So as you guys know, video is a lot more complicated to do than just snapping a photo or a selfie. So typically you might get paid more for video projects. But I do video, but I don't really have a big video audience. So that's something I'm working on behind the scenes. But you always want to kind of understand what the brand is looking for and understand your audience well enough to make recommendations on what you can work together with. So you guys ready for it? I'm going to blow your mind. There are influencer networks you can sign up for. They're free to join. There's dozens of them. I will rattle off a few in a second, but you can basically sign up for these platforms, authenticate your social channels, YouTube, blog, Instagram, whatever you do, and you can make a little bio, a little description about what kind of deals and projects you're interested in. And sometimes they'll even have a marketplace where you can shop around and find companies to work with. And you can basically bid the price that you're willing to do the work they want for. So Poshmark actually does this on a platform called Aspire IQ. I'm sure most of you watching the stream today use Poshmark, are very passionate about Poshmark, would love to be a spokesperson for Poshmark to your audience. This is a way you can do this and make some money for it. And of course, you can use your Poshmark invite link to earn some extra earnings on the side from that by inviting people who watch the content and find it helpful. So that's a great example. I've done work with Poshmark on my blog and on my Instagram. After the stream, I can add it in the comments. But if you go to my blog, chelseapearl.com, and just search Poshmark, you'll find some posts there.
There are tons of ways to grow your following. People are asking how to grow your following on Instagram or YouTube. Basically, it comes down to being either entertaining or educational or maybe good looking. That's part of entertainment. It's also collaboration. When you work with the different people, when you reach out and you get different people's input in, it makes your content more interesting. This is why interviews are really popular. There are entire podcasts and YouTube channels that are only podcasts and interviews, and that helps because it takes the pressure off of coming up with inventory for social media. Is just content. Coming up with it all the time can be very challenging, and it can get exhausting. And so you can see YouTubers, when they stop posting, they stop earning money. The way the algorithms are built, they want you to keep pushing stuff out. That's why it's nice to get those sponsored posts, because Poshmark pays. They need those eyeballs on the website. They need new people to sign up. You can get paid being a Poshmark influencer as much. It depends again on your following. I would say anywhere between $5 and $250 as you're getting started, and then more as you grow. These premium ad networks, I actually don't know if there are any on Pinterest. That's a good question.
I'm not sure.
I bet there is, though.
Good question, though. Yeah, and so those affiliate opportunities are right there in the Poshmark app, right? You go to your seller tools and you look for campaigns, and depending on what social channels you have connected to your Poshmark, they will have campaign opportunities, and you could read through the description. I think the ones I saw were for YouTube and for Instagram and Facebook, maybe. And there was a dollar amount based on your following, and I think you get credit, so it's immediately deposited into your Poshmark account once you can complete the campaign deliverables. I think there is a review process. So once you prepare the content, you send it over to them just to make sure everything's good to go and both sides are happy with the content, and then you push it live.
I have had a few issues with that, meaning it's not exactly 3 days or 4 days or 1 week when they ask you to post their link for a certain amount of time. Wait until you get confirmation that you've achieved it, because like my link tree that I set up, or that link in Instagram, for me, it's really valuable. It earns me X amount of money. So if they say 72 hours, I'm posting it for 72 hours and 1 minute. But for Poshmark, they need to verify it electronically. So just make sure before you hop off that to actually grab that. And another thing for affiliates is that If your friend is buying a camera, go to Amazon Associates, set up an account, give your friend the link for that camera, and you can instantly earn money right now, even just being an influencer amongst your friends. If you have a Facebook account, if you even have friends you talk to at work, if you're listening to them, they're buying something, you can send them your link and just get going that way. And then as you grow those affiliate links, you'll see how powerful influencer marketing is. You can make money basically off of word of mouth. That's what this is. They're paying for word of mouth.
Yeah. And so, like, even those group texts you have with your friends and family where somebody's like, I'm looking for a camera for my next vacation, or I don't know, looking for, yeah, whatever it might be, sending them a link. They're like, gonna buy it. Use your link. You're gonna make a portion of that sale. It's really easy to get started. And again, Amazon Associates. I'm not a member personally, but I know plenty of people in my personal life who do, and you don't have to have a following to sign up.
Silver is saying that Aspire IQ asks a company email address. It's extremely
Oh,
common.
you know what? Make sure when you sign up for Aspire IQ, they have two versions. They have a creator version to sign up for, or like a corporate version to sign up for. So corporate would be if you're a social media or marketing or affiliate manager at a company and you want to set up a campaign on their platform. So maybe see if you can find the creator login, and you should be able to log in just through your Instagram login authentication.
And if you guys are enjoying this content, please smash the like button and go over to Chelsea's channel and subscribe to her as well. Hit the notification bell. But this is a really common topic because people are always asking me, how do I sell things faster? How do I get more traffic? I'm going to give you an example of, let's say, um, razors. Maybe a certain razor sells 100 times a day on eBay, and you have, let's say, 10% of the market. You can't sell 80 of them in a day. If there's already so many people in that market, you can't increase the revenue. The only thing you could do is you can lower your prices, which I don't recommend because you've done all that hard work to find your item. If it's only selling at a certain pace, don't try to make that sell faster. Just add a different product in to try and continue that. So, for example, you can't continue to milk one thing because the effectiveness goes down. A sponsored post is going to be less effective if you keep doing the same sponsored post over and over again. Your audience is going to get super annoyed and you're not providing value to your customers. That's why when you look at the best influencers, they're not just promoting one thing.
Yeah, and also on the same token, not every day is a sponsored post because you're just going to lose your audience. They're going to think you're a sellout. They're going to, just know that you're in it for the money. And while you might need to push out a sponsored post every day to, meet your living expenses, especially here in the Bay Area, this is exactly why I rely on these three pillars, not just the sponsored post. I do affiliate and I do ads and I also do reselling. And I'm so glad to be with Chris today because I really need to get my resell game going again. And I think my last sale was last week. It was a good sale, but I really want like daily sales and things like moving quicker.
Mm-hmm. And lots of Josh just got approved for an Amazon influencer page, which allows you to break it down. Like for me, it's YouTube equipment, eBay equipment, whatever different things, stuff in my minimalist apartment. I'm even going to try to ride the wave of Marie Kondo. Maybe talk about stuff in my apartment that saves me time. Everything is designed to save time for me. You can tell what people are optimizing for. You can optimize your life for travel. You can optimize it for beauty. You can optimize it for something, but you can't do everything. And that's another thing that we want to suggest when you're getting going. Lifestyle is the hardest to start because it's so wide. You have to have a great personality to do that. But you can be a total nerd, introverted person and talk about one thing and be totally fine. But just don't get too ahead of yourself and keep adding stuff. Chelsea talks about a variety of topics, but it takes time to slowly let your audience know that you're interested in so many different things.
Right. And while I'm not doing every single piece of content as an ad, there are affiliate links in the description box of every single video.
Yep.
I use Like to Know It on my Instagram, which I'm sure you guys have all seen, your favorite fashion influencer, lifestyle influencers. It's an app where you can add products and your followers can shop the products and get an email straight to their inbox with clickable links. It's a great way to make money in the background. For me, my top converting affiliate links are like very trendy pieces, anything from Amazon, Nordstrom, that's really high converting for me, and camera gear because people see my videos and they ask over and over again, like, what are you shooting this with? I just kept it in the description box. Every single video, it describes what I use for vlogs, the gimbal I use, the tripod, the lighting, everything is there, and I see analytics on what people are clicking on and what people are buying. And you
Yeah.
could double down on what's doing better to like, level up your income there.
And it's amazing how when you ask for something, you will receive. If I say, hey, before you buy your poly mailers tonight or your groceries, hop onto my Amazon link below and use that link to buy something, that will convert. And if you ask, you should ask politely, probably maybe twice in your video. People understand how you make money as a YouTuber. It's very time consuming to come up with a topic. Chelsea and I spent half an hour coming up with an outline for this talk before we start. All this takes time, and it's the power is moving away from companies and to influencers. So everyone needs to get on board with this.
Mm-hmm. I saw lots of Josh said, I appreciate when influencers have subtle ads rather than just an in your face ad. Shows they are putting a lot of thought behind their content. This is 100% true. Sometimes as the influencer, you might agree to a campaign and you really need to stand your ground. If they're telling you to just do a selfie with the product and your audience is not going to like that, push back. You are the expert of your own audience and you should be able to let them know that, oh yeah, I can shoot that for you guys to repurpose for your content for an additional fee, but this is what I would like to do in order to perform best on my channel. I've definitely done that. Won't name any brands, but you have to be the master of your audience because you know them best. You see them every day. You engage with them every day. And yeah, it's really important. And also, one thing I do for value added content to make it a really great experience for this brand to work with me is I'll tease the product before I even have the product go live. And I'll say, I'm doing a video on some skincare later this month, and it's a very hot topic. I do a lot of skincare on my channel. I suffer from eczema, so I often have like hot, rashy skin. It's really terrible and really uncomfortable, and I know a lot of people are looking for great products they can use to combat eczema, so I'm always talking about it. But I have an exciting campaign coming up where I have a special skincare routine with this product, and I'm technically under NDA, but I can at least tease to my followers something is coming. I have some updated eczema skincare routine content coming, but I can at the same time like point them to some of my other skincare videos in the meantime. Or if the product comes in and you're not under NDA, you're allowed to talk about it before your content goes live. You could wear the lipstick that you're promoting next week to, garner some interest. People will say, oh, I really like that lipstick today. What are you wearing? I'll say, it's coming out next week. I'll let you know soon. And that gets people excited, and it just shows that you're authentically using the product. I hope you're authentically using any product that you are promoting because your audience will find out sooner or later and see right through that. So it's important. And I think just for longevity, you can lose your followers' trust really fast, and it's so hard to gain it back. So be authentic.
I'm also very scared of people going full-time reselling with just one platform because it can quickly change. And for example, if you're 100% Amazon, you get suspended, your income gets suspended. And that happens on any of these platforms. That's why, and I had that fiasco with Skillshare. I got suspended on Skillshare before a $3,000 payment. Luckily, that's like extra on top of other things that I'm already doing. I don't recommend you leave your day job if you only have one stream of income. That's very scary. At least like eBay and Amazon. So if one's not working, you can make some income, because shutting off your income is extremely scary. And I don't recommend it. Even though it's not popular, my advice is always keep your job as long as possible. And people are asking, like, how much should I reinvest? It depends on your timeline. If you want to retire early or quit your job earlier, you need a higher reinvestment rate and a lower overhead for yourself. If you have $10,000 a month in bills, it's going to be very difficult to build your side hustle on the side. It needs that money.
Yeah, I saw a quote in a Facebook group this morning that like really spoke to me. Don't build your house on rented land.
That's true.
So, I mean, God forbid, Poshmark could get shut down tomorrow, and some of us might be really out of luck if that happens. So, you want to just be prepared. What do they say? Think for the best, prepare for the worst,
Yeah,
or something like that. I'm
Yep.
bad with those idioms, but you know what I mean. It's the same thing. Like if Instagram, so many influencers and content creators rely on Instagram as how they monetize and how they do their sponsorship. And like you're at the mercy of their algorithm changes and changes to the platform and outages. I mean, how many outages has Instagram had in the last 2 or 3 weeks? Like my performance and engagement has gone down so much on my content that I'm just not even opening the app because it's glitchy, and there's been like almost full days where it's out, and it's really frustrating for content creators. But thankfully, I've built my blog and my brand and my YouTube channel over the last few years so that I can still connect with people on other channels. And I'm not so reliant on that one. Obviously, it's one of my larger followings, so I care about it. But at the same time, I have all these other channels that I create meaningful content and connections on.
And you definitely, the more expensive the item that you want to sell or be affiliated with, the longer it takes to set up. And it's also less competitive. If you wanted to review laptops, that's really expensive. You'd have to figure out how to get multiple $1,000 laptops to review, probably some decent equipment to review them. That's very difficult. But if you want to review the best coffee pour over, there's probably thousands of people trying to do that because those are very simple to review, very cheap, difficult to get going. And it's the same concept on eBay and Amazon. 80% of items sold on those platforms are under 20 bucks. Okay, so you're competing with almost everything is cheap junk. Okay, so trying to stand out, that's the hard part, right? If you want to sell something that's under $20, it's really easy in the sense that that's where the most people are shopping, but there's a lot of competition. So as you're looking for affiliates, building up your site, I recommend you try to be an affiliate for things that are a little bit more expensive, because I've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of poly mailers through my Amazon affiliate link, and it adds up to like hundreds of dollars. Like that's for the amount of work it was to build that up. If I had referred like, one piece of dental equipment, that would have been more than that. So it depends on what category you want to shoot for. But you see a lot of people earning a lot of money selling in specific expensive niches, but it's not easy to start.
Yeah. Sorry about the autofocus. I think people
Yeah, I'm trying to
we
figure
get
it
some
out.
comments on that, but
Yeah.
apologies in advance. But that's a great point. So with my content, I do fashion, beauty, and travel mostly. And you best believe I monetize, and I also disclose that I use affiliate links, so it's always very transparent to the reader. But like if it's a travel post, for instance, I'm able to monetize my links to the airline I used, Expedia, Travelocity, the booking site, hotel chains. So that way, if somebody books through that hotel based on my content, like I can at least be rewarded for referring the business. So that's a great example. It doesn't just have to be tangible fashion or skincare or makeup. It can be so many things. It could be software even. I use a Pinterest software called Tailwind. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. It's basically the only Pinterest approved like Pinterest partner. And they are a scheduling platform and Pinterest like optimization software. And they pay, I think, 50 cents a lead. And then I think you get $50 for each person you sign up for a year subscription. That's almost like a 50% payout. So it's pretty lucrative. And I have a couple posts on my blog about Pinterest strategy. And so I get quite a few signups through that. Obviously, I'd like it to be higher, but I'm not really a marketing blogger, even though my background is in marketing. It's not my passion in terms of like content every day. But it's a great thing that I recommend to everybody. I have a little tutorial on how to use it and how it's benefited my business. And if you found that helpful, you're more than welcome to sign up for Tailwind through my link. So that's another example of an affiliate program, a product that you can recommend, or service rather, that's not a tangible thing.
Yeah, and also as a micro influencer for a brand or a product or a service, you get insider knowledge. And as a reseller, I know, for example, that eBay is going to be launching employee access sometime soon, right? And I know when, and I also may be a tester for that specific product. And when you get an idea of what's going to be released, you can kind of navigate ahead of other people. And there's like another kitchen gadget that I am interested in. I'm on those forums. I'm trying to figure out which companies dominate that market. And that's insider knowledge in a specific niche that you can make profit on just being in that niche. In fact, sometimes you're not even allowed to talk about it with NDAs, but you can use the information to profit yourself. So it's always best to, I know a guy or I know a girl on the inside of something. That would be the quickest way to earn money, knowing stuff that people do not.
Balta.
I know that.
Autofocus can't handle the knowledge being dropped.
I
Thanks
don't.
so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
If you guys know how to fix the autofocus, I'm trying to figure this out. The camera that I'm trying to use is a Sony A5100. It's a pretty cool camera. It has great autofocus, but for some reason, it's autofocusing like every 10 seconds. So I don't know how to fix
Even if you're
it.
still, it might be the microphone.
It might be the
Just
microphones.
depth, yeah.
That's true. Could be. So we will figure that out.
All right.
Let's see. Yes. So even with people like, I know Wade's been involved with some TV. Family Flips is talking about being involved with TV opportunities. I know a lot of people who have those opportunities and they still don't quit their day job. This is Jay Leno. Basically, he had his TV show. He never spent any of that money. He just lived off of his stand-up income. And that makes sense. You have two incomes, build them up, live on one, never touch the other one. Then you can get to the point where you can purely just do what you want to do and not be worried about the money.
Right. When I was at my last job, my full-time income took care of the bills and everything I had to pay. And then my blog income was my fun money. That was like my almond milk latte and travel fun and Ubers across town.
Yep. And it's going to be, we are going to drop a guide. So I'm going to link Chelsea's guide on how to basically monetize being a micro influencer. I think it's something everyone needs to do. I will say that we're both millennials, and the generation younger than us, they already recognize how important it is to be an influencer. They know what they say matters. They think more before they talk. They're very strategic, and they're immediately skipping eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Amazon, and directly making their own websites, learning their own marketing, getting their own style. That's They know already that they don't want to rely on eBay or Amazon. They want to go direct to the customer. And now there's new cashless apps. There's the Cash App, there's Venmo, there's PayPal Friends and Family. They're skipping all fees and going directly to the customer. That's insane that they're already thinking like that.
So savvy.
Yeah. You want to start a YouTube channel but have no idea where to start. This is interesting. How does somebody pick a topic?
Think about the things you could talk all day about to your friends and family. Doesn't have to doesn't have to be a tangible product. It could be travel, like places you want to go, places you've been, stories you want to tell. I think if I was to start over today, I would want to pick something really granular. I've been blogging for about 10 years now, so the topics have evolved a little bit, and I am able to integrate new verticals, meaning like travel, wine, etc. My advice to you if you're starting today is try and pick something granular.
I agree. And also, you need to, think about maybe doing a season of it. So, like, do 5 or 8 episodes of it before you make any decisions, because you don't know. The first episode is really hard and will be horrible. So it's okay to have. I mean, like, I didn't even understand how to do anything until just recently. So you just get started. You keep going. My girlfriend gave me some really good advice when I started, which was just do it for a year. Think about it like you want to do this for a year. What would you do for a year that's fun enough that you would try to think of some content and talk about it? Kind of like your hobby, but then also have in mind that who are you making it for? And kind of the best person to make it for is yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes I think back to some of my travel vlogs, my early travel vlogs before I was doing any travel content. And selfishly, they are fun videos for myself to look back at, but they do provide some helpful context and information for people researching that destination or conference or trade show that I went to and what to do while they're in that city. Figure it out as you go. 100% family flips. And you'll learn as you go.
And also, so Balta's been looking into affiliate income. I actually tried to battle Prince. We tried to see who could make more money in affiliate marketing in a week. And I made 200. I think he made 1,500. So what he was doing was he went to sites to figure out what people were talking about. So he went onto some camera sites and people were saying, oh, this thing just came out. It's really cool. He asked the moderator, am I allowed to link that really cool thing and get affiliate commission? And the moderator said, if you cut me in. So then there was like, a little bit back and forth, but you can figure out how to sell other people's stuff if you don't want to sell your own. That's basically the purpose of affiliate marketing. Also, Suburban Beard said that he lost his job and it was scary. It is really scary, guys. Trying to go out on your own. I think entrepreneurship is way overrated. People don't understand that it's like extremely difficult. Like, and especially in the Bay Area, like, here, you can like apply for some low income stuff if you make 90K.
Yeah, and I'm sure we all have a person in our life, family, friend, extended relative, somebody who's really passionate about what they do, but they're just not cut out to be an entrepreneur. I think the classic example is maybe like the mechanic who's really passionate and wants to open their own garage, but then they get inundated with handling, the HR, the accounting, the management, marketing, and that's just not what they're passionate about. They're passionate about working on cars, and that's a hard lesson to learn because you feel like a failure, but you have to know when to delegate and to hire help and get back to what you do best, and pay to other people's core competencies that might be better at the job that you're having to add onto your plate that you don't necessarily enjoy.
Yes, this is so true. Successful entrepreneurs usually put in way more work and hours. They just enjoy it more. It's like I'd rather work 80 hours for myself than 40 hours for the man. That's kind of the saying. I do want to point out that you can kind of slowly make that go away. So I did hang out with Beat the Bush. He had a full-time engineering job. He was building his YouTube income, and he switched to now he's a full-time YouTube creator and semi-retired, right? But he can't completely retire. So what he's doing right now is one video that his audience wants, which is personal finance, saving money, and then the next video is what he wants to do, which is like eating avocado toast with a drone. Like his audience does not care about that at all. They were actually very upset. It went from like 100% approval to 68% approval because they're like, I subscribe for personal finance. Why are you eating avocado toast with a drone? But he's like, look, I'm almost retired. So I'm just, by the time I retire, it's only going to be avocado toast videos because those are the ones I want to make. So you just slowly start replacing stuff you don't like with stuff that you like.
Solo Sarah. Yep, I have a friend in the same boat. She makes, I think, 110K here in the Bay Area on a Bay Area salary. She works in finance, and her kid is going into preschool, and she qualified for like financial aid, low income, and it's real out here. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it is scary when you have, it's not uncommon to pay $3,000 to $4,000 in rent if you're in a specific area, and sometimes you need that. So it depends on what industry you're in here. Um, Facebook and Google are the most efficient companies, so they pay around 100K and they get more than $1 million worth of revenue from each person. So it's expensive, but here they're paying for talent. Everyone here is trying to make it.
Okay, that Malta, yep. Yeah, it's difficult because it's really nice having multiple streams of income because you don't know what your life is going to look like. I actually grew up with a parent with terminal illness. So we were a one income household. And I just think back to like, if we had these other ways of monetizing back then, it would have been so helpful for my family just to make ends meet. I always had a roof over my head. We didn't have to worry about stuff, but it was a considerable, concern with only one parent working in the Bay Area where it is so expensive to live. And you never know if you might have an injury or you have to take care of an aging parent, might need to pull back some from your traditional 9 to 5 job or whatever your primary source of income is. So having multiple income streams is a bit of relief. And, that's why I nurtured all these little pillars and pieces of my monetization puzzle along the way.
So Chris is mentioning that he's been selling on eBay since 98 when they first started. That's interesting. Even now, like websites like StockX and Goat, all you have to do is sign in. There's somebody who's already agreed to buy something for a certain price. You just buy the same thing and send it in, and you get paid as soon as they verify the item is correct. It's bananas right now. They're storing all the different photos. Imagine if something was photographed once and then it never needs to get photographed again, and you could just put it in a condition scanner and it would let the customer know what condition it's in. That's going to happen. There's going to be no human required to sell something eventually. So you want to stick in niches that are harder to get into, right? If you want to talk about wine and you live here where we are, where Sonoma and Napa are here, you have a massive advantage. Okay. But if you're in Cleveland, Ohio, it's probably not the best place to start a winery channel. So it depends on where you are. Look for your unfair advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And while we're there, wine affiliate programs have a great payout. So there's tons. I see a lot in Share a Sale. I don't use Share a Sale that often. I think you do need some kind of social media audience or website to apply. But once you're in, you can shop around the different vendors and see the commission payout structure. And there's a ton of wine subscriptions that are all e-commerce, like wine.com, Wink, and tons more. And there's also beer subscriptions. So literally anything you're into. I'm sure a lot of you shop on those websites. So I don't know. I'm thinking about starting a wine series on my channel where we drink and chat about wine. And it would be cool to make some money off that.
Absolutely. And maybe you guys can let us know in the chat how much an average rent costs in your area. Here it's over 3,000 for sure. It's really expensive. So it's like That's right about right. 3,000 for rent, and the average person probably makes 12K a month in the city. So that's like it's insane. When you are a reseller and you need to sell something and earn that much money, usually you have a small warehouse. I've seen some people do it drop shipping, but I get a lot of questions about drop shipping. This is my opinion. You can make about $1,000 a month per full-time worker. So that's not worth it if you live in the Bay Area and you need $1,000 for full-time work is not worth it. But if you have 10 VAs that you're paying $200 a month to manage those listings for you, I've never seen anybody do drop shipping effectively where they don't understand the products they're selling. You have to be really good at one specific niche and understand it. You can't do bulk shipping like my friend Jack Pittman, who was just here. He had 110,000 listings, just everything. And that did not work. So he was making about $90,000 a month in sales and netting less than 2,000 because of how many problems happens. And he got suspended. He had over 300 eBay violations because when you're operating at that scale and you don't have any of that stuff, what happens is sometimes Walmart doesn't have it. Home Depot doesn't have it. Trying to set up a dropshipping account that's huge with tons of SKUs is very scary. I recommend doing it on a small scale.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It is scary. Yeah, you see people doing all kinds of stuff. But yeah, most of the people in the chat have rent around $1,000. It's very different. Wow.
That is the dream.
That is the dream. So Pat the reseller, probably owning a home and owning a warehouse is probably cheaper than renting here.
Yeah.
So that's scary.
Yeah, and it's difficult because there is like a housing shortage. So it's really hard to buy when you live month to month because you need a really big down payment here to even compete because everything sells for over asking. So it's a bubble. I think things are going to change hopefully soon.
Maya's asking about my specific niche. My specific niche for reselling publicly is shoes. And then my private label, which I'm trying to do 10 by 10 by 10 is kitchen. So I like kitchen stuff as I get older. Like I felt like in my 20s, all I did was eat out. Now I'm older. And so I want to cook more. So I'm into more kitchen stuff. I feel like it's pretty straightforward to get sales. You just give it to the right influencer. There's a lot of people doing cooking channels. And then I also want people in here to think about this is really important. You need something to look forward to. All this crazy work that we're doing, being entrepreneurs and trying to make it. What are you looking for? What are you looking forward to? I just watched this lady who has $100,000 worth of equipment for her cooking show. Okay, it's like every single angle. She's got microphones on all the pots and pans. The videos are incredible, and she's never had really over 500 or 600 views on a video. She's spending roughly $25,000 to make each video, and it's not monetizing at all. But it doesn't matter because that's what she wants to do. She's made enough money. She married a rich enough husband that she does not have to do any actual work, and she's just making exactly what she wants to do. And I think that's important. If you really want to get through working this hard, you kind of need a reason. You need a light at the end of the tunnel.
She's got to like lease that space to like creators that want to come in and use the equipment or something.
I know.
That's insane. I would love to shadow her one day and see her process. The bunk bed comment, it's real. So there are a lot of co-op like living dorms in San Francisco for young single tech workers. I mean, that's who lives there generally speaking, and it's like $1,200 a month to rent a bunk bed in downtown San Francisco where everything's walkable. I've worked with many people who've lived in those.
So Julia is saying that she thank you for joining the live, by the way, that she's about to give up on reselling. I feel like that. And the thing is with reselling, this is how I look at it. I consider it a job. You find items and then you resell them on a platform for something. It is very modular, very linear. Like if you want to improve your sales, you just sell better stuff at lower prices. That's it. That's why Marshalls and Ross dominate the resale game. The two top companies are Marshalls and Ross. They kill it. They're the most successful resellers right now are those two companies, specifically Ross. They sell to more people, way more profitable than Marshalls, even though their stuff is not as good as TJ Maxx, Marshalls Home Goods. But it's just so cheap, and they're able to liquidate all these goods that are really fast paced. If you're doing it as a job, it's very taxing. That's why we're doing this show, so that you can diversify your income a little bit. You have to love what you do if you're only a reseller.
Yeah. Same thing with content though. Like sometimes I have these marathon days where I collaborate with local creators, or I just love the brand I'm building the sponsored content around, that it doesn't feel like work. Yes, there are late nights and all nighters occasionally where I'm editing videos and drafting posts and editing photos, and I'm going cross-eyed because I'm staring at a computer for 18 hours a day. But I still love what I do at the end of the day. And yeah, that's when it doesn't feel like work. But there is a lot of work involved.
So Balta is asking about building a fulfillment center or a prep center. This is the same concept to me as consignment. Basically, you're taking the risk out of you putting the money in the inventory and you have somebody else do it. You sell for other people or you process for other people. That's a great model, but your resume is your previous customers and the quality of your store. If you want to attract selling diamonds and watches, don't sell used tank tops in your store, because then people are like, what? You're not going to get a top dollar for my item. And if you have proof that you can send items in the FBA within 24 hours, who doesn't want instantly stuff to go to the warehouse? So it's just your resume. When you're trying to be consignment, it's who you are. That's the same thing as influencing. Richard says, do I want to source pants? No, but you keep getting them. I mean, that happens. Whatever, you might be in an area where there's pants for days.
Yeah. You're saying this and I'm like here thinking like, man, my Poshmark closet is all over the place, but I don't really have a strategy. It's just like keeping my closet under control.
Don't give up, Julia. I mean, it's no one said that selling. That's why entrepreneurship is overrated. It's hard. It's stressful. Also, many of you don't know this, but I try to mention it often so you can be aware of it. Every time you learn a new niche, you will gain weight. Okay, this is exactly what happened, because it's so hard to learn something new that your stress levels are really high. You don't get enough sleep. You're not hydrated. You're eating whatever is around you and too much of it. So a lot of your craving, like for example, when I quit sales, I just stopped drinking I didn't think about drinking because I wasn't stressed out. Negotiating is hard. Negotiating for a living is the hardest thing in my opinion, because you can negotiate for 8 hours, and if they say no, you go home with no money in your pocket. It has to end in a sale. So if you reduce your stress, your health level goes up. But that's the opposite. When you are trying to learn a new skill, it's stressful the entire time. So just be aware of that. Watch your health. Because for me, every single time I learn something new, all the health related stuff goes out the window. It's really hard to maintain. Don't stop learning about this stuff. Yeah, I agree. Give up if you hate it. That's also good advice. If you really don't like it, just doing it for the money is tough.
I wanted to bring up an example of this. I have a girlfriend from my high school, and we're still great friends. And she started a food Instagram because she loves food. I actually go to her for a lot of restaurant recommendations. She doesn't really use Yelp or contribute there or have a website. She just uses Instagram to do the food pictures. And so many times she's told me, I just want to quit. I just want to throw it away. Say, hey, it's not costing you any money. You're already going to these restaurants and taking pictures. Maybe just make the account private, walk away from it for a month or two, regroup, and come back when you're ready. But don't throw it away just yet. It could serve you, for good in the future. So I've been having a lot of fun, like taking her under my wing to some like restaurant openings here and things I've been covering for my blog and kind of showing her the ropes. If you can find a peer or somebody in your life who's doing something similar and you can kind of be each other's cheerleader, I recommend you find that person, find your tribe, find your squad, and bounce ideas off them, because they're going to be your biggest cheerleaders. And find people you can trust and maybe tell them if you're struggling and you need help, and you can find ways to help each other succeed. I think that is something that we all need in our lives. Sometimes it's not your spouse, or your relatives. Like maybe it's a friend who wants to get started or somebody you can learn something from. Having your tribe helps a lot.
And I think it's nice to influence in the same niche that you are in. If you have something valuable to say, people will start listening to you. As far as Victoria saying, should you start social media? Should you go onto a different platform? I think you need to have a purpose. If your sell-through rate goal is 20% and you sell 18% on eBay and 8% on Poshmark, and between the two, you have your goal sell-through rate, that's great. But don't just start a new platform to have a new platform. You need a reason to do that. So for me, the reason why I sell Mercari is because the fees are lower. 10% versus 13 or 14% on eBay and 20% on Poshmark. When I sell something on Mercari, it's almost like I didn't have to pay the person to list for me because it offset that. I would sell on Instagram and Facebook because there are zero fees. You could literally say, Venmo me the money, no transaction fee, no marketing fee, just your time to put it on Instagram. But if you don't know how to do that, you can't just post on Instagram without marketing. It's the hardest form of marketing. You have to know how to tag it, how to get people to follow you. Two last tips on Instagram, which would be you could do shout out for shout out, and trade people. Hey, shout out my account. I'll shout out your account. You could do giveaways, and then obviously anything visually pleasing, food. If you're in the fashion, you can put an outfit together that people would like.
Yeah, a lot of bloggers that I know from my years of doing this don't even do Poshmark. They just go straight to Instagram because they're trying to leverage the audience they already have and just create the minimal amount of work. And they've already built that trust with their audience. So people are pretty comfortable buying directly from their Instagram page. But if you're starting out today, try a few things out and see what works for you. It might be Mercari, might be Poshmark, might be Instagram. And you don't have to be a master of all of them.
Yeah, and Fresh Fit Chef is right. Food's very viral. You get new people following you if you tag the location as well. People are looking for new restaurants, and I only want to go to a restaurant really that somebody I know has already been to, just to save time. You don't have to vet them. Let's see. Michael's looking more towards tactical arbitrage and sourcing online. That is currently the largest opportunity is sourcing online. It is not that fun to be in front of your computer all day versus hunting through bins of stuff or hunting through an estate sale. But online has the largest market. I mean, think about how many items you can look at and how many manifests you can review online versus how many items. Like you could review an entire year worth of stuff in person in one day online. So it just comes down to how do you filter? That's the key. How do you filter? Everything is for sale for everyone online, but how do you feel? Or how do you filter? This is a great question. So Maya is saying, how do you deal with the emotional energy it takes to talk all the time? You should take that one.
It's difficult. I constantly struggle with this. I don't know how some of my friends do it, but from a content like production perspective, I'm sure you've heard this in probably some of Chris's videos, but like batch producing where possible. So you can sprinkle that content throughout your calendar, maybe for days that you're feeling sick or not feeling so well, or you're just busy with life. I try to post on stories a few times throughout the day, but I don't want to be overkill or be annoying. I try to make sure everything I post is purposeful, either like Chris said, educational, inspirational, aspirational, or entertaining, right? So I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste my time. Let's just make sure that there's a balance. But I have friends who, especially with this Nordstrom anniversary sale and Prime Day, like kicking off within days within each other, it was a lot of overkill on the sales, but you have to think about it from the business perspective. This is a big time of year that we earn affiliate commission. So it's in our best interest to share the sales and our favorite things from the sales. But me being a minimalist, I only want to share the things that I'm most passionate about and the things I honestly and truly recommend. I don't want to recommend junk. And also, like, it's in my best interest to recommend things that you're not going to return, because I'm going to get hit with the commission like cancellations when you return something to Nordstrom 3 months later because you don't like it or you didn't wear it. So it's really in my best interest to recommend only things that I 100% believe in. And, you have to strike a balance. So I try not to post more than like 12 Instagram stories per day. And I'm mentioning this in the context of Instagram because that's my most often used channel. I think with Twitter, I also post on Twitter a lot, but a lot of it's like automated shares from Instagram or my blog. Twitter is kind of, stuff has a really short half-life on Twitter. So I think you can be a little more aggressive there. But with Instagram, where, it's that full screen takeover, just a couple times throughout the day on stories.
I would say emotionally, I don't manage it. I only have enough energy to do one growth thing at a time. When you guys see my YouTube channel dropping, it's because my reselling content went up. I don't have a good way of managing, so it always goes up. And this drives me to another question, which is, would I do another 9 to 5 again? Kind of. In a sense that I don't mind working 8 hours a day on a specific project. I want to own the project, though. Here's the thing. I want to be part owner. So, for example, I'm totally okay being a number 3 at a company. I don't need to be the founder. I don't have an ego problem anymore. Maybe when I was younger, I needed to take all the credit. I'm totally happy letting somebody else take the credit. That 17-year-old girl that I had on my channel a couple of days ago, I told her, like, I would work for you. If your brand blew up and you needed somebody on the back end, like I would work for you because I don't understand Instagram marketing like she does. I would work for her to find out what she's doing. She's 17. She's half my age, literally. I'm okay working for her just to learn. So I would work a 9 to 5 also to learn a new skill. We are talking about doing an endeavor together. It makes sense to do that and team up and not be the founder if you're trying to build something for other people. And I think that a lot of people are so marginalized that they're 9 to 5. Like the company does not care about your opinion. You just fit into a little box for them. So you need to get credit when you are an influencer. You want people to recognize you, and I get that. But after you mature and you get over that, then you want your enterprise to survive.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I've learned over the years, because I am the face of my content, is to separate my ego from my business. So when a deal doesn't go my way or they walk away because they couldn't meet my rates, I have to remember they're not rejecting me as a human. They're rejecting my business proposal and what I have to offer there. It's not, you have to separate the two because you'll drive yourself crazy and you're going to get hurt if you put the two together.
Yeah, and I think everyone should try influencing because you're gonna have some haters, and I think that's very healthy for just to not take yourself so seriously.
Yes. And to answer someone's question in the chat, are we extroverts? I'm an ENFJ Myers-Briggs, and I highly identify with that. I'm an idealist, very emotional. I'm a people person, like to bring people together. I'm kind of like an Oprah. Yeah.
I'm an ENTJ, but just barely. Like I've met Maya in person. She thinks I'm a super nerd. I'm probably like, I think I'm actually right in the middle. I can be extroverted. I can be introverted. I could do both. I used to like to party. That was more fun. Now Ramit Sethi, not Ramit Sethi. What's his name? Ramal Ravik, Raval, Raval. What's this guy's name? His last name is Ravikant. Really cool. Naval Ravikant. He said that happiness is being able to sit by yourself quietly. And I totally believe that because
and not look at your phone.
and not look at your phone. Just can you just sit there for a second quietly and enjoy? Because if not, if you have to go do something, you're probably compensating for something, and that totally makes sense to me. So if you can just sit quietly, that is like the definition of happiness. Also, yes, I agree with that. There's no shame in your 9 to 5 if you love your 9 to 5. And just the closer you get to doing what you want to do, you stop caring what people think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually loved my 9 to 5 before I left it, but I got laid off. So I decided it was time to spread my wings because I was working on my blog, my Instagram for many years, even before I started that job. And it was the right time for me to take a chance. But I also don't believe in like leaving just to wing it and figure it out. I already had a livable wage coming in, that it was the right time and place, and could also collect unemployment and get COBRA benefits. Because I mean, if you're watching from the US, you know that the healthcare system is not ideal. It's very expensive and complicated, especially if you're a single unmarried person and you're over the age of 26. You're kind of screwed and you got to figure it out. And I see some comments regarding benefits and health and disability benefits and things like that in the chat. It's a serious concern. Can you pay your bills? Can you pay your insurance, your rent, your phone bill, your groceries? Like, you need to figure this out before you just decide you want to do this as a full-time career.
And this is why we're making this series. We also emotionally, it's much less drained to work with somebody else, and you guys can make some content together. That's better for your audience. It's better for your juju. And also, I want to point one more thing towards. I want to shout out Shazad in the audience because he sells brand new goods. And a lot of people move towards brand new goods when they get more capital because it's more predictable. When you sell random goods or you influence random topics, it's really, really tiring. But if you can make a series on wine, a series on fashion, a series on one thing, it's not as monotonous as it's actually. I think it's better to focus on a few series than do completely random because it's exhausting doing it that way.
Right. And like, I had a hard time finding my beauty niche, and because there's so many beauty channels and people doing really talented, complex, complicated, artistry, makeup. I can't do that. I'm not a makeup artist. I'm just somebody who loves beauty, makeup, skincare, nails, all that. I just started because I'm in the Bay Area, and I noticed a lot of my favorite salons and med spas and nail places weren't getting picked up in search. Like I'd Google them and not find a lot. So I decided to start a Bay Area beauty series. And now I'm kind of a resource for people when they look up non-toxic manicures in the Bay Area. They find my video. They look up Botox before and after. I have a video on that. I do some highly viral topics related to beauty, and I try to niche myself or put myself in the Bay Area context. So I'm a Bay Area beauty expert, and it's a great place to be because we have so many big brands headquartered here. Kendo Brands that owns Marc Jacobs Beauty, Kat Von D. We have Sephora headquarters, and some more indie brands like Dear Brightly, which is a company I'm having a video coming out with soon that does basically a teledoc service for prescription-based retinoids. So stuff that you traditionally have to go visit a dermatologist for and pay a high upfront cost for. So I'm doing a video on that to tell people, like, this is Bay Area technology and beauty coming together. So finding that niche, and over time, you'll slowly become a resource and an expert on that topic.
Yes, so definitely diversify. I'm going to be respectful of Chelsea's time. If you guys want to go to the description below, follow Chelsea at chelseapearl.com. And also you can find her on Instagram. Our series coming up again, just to reiterate, it's going to go over how to monetize being a micro influencer. And this can accompany perfectly your reselling career. So you don't have to rely so much on your reselling.
Ebook coming soon. It's my first ever.
Ebook coming soon. And I'm always very supportive of entrepreneurs doing their own thing. So if you guys have a topic that you want to discuss in person, just reach out to me. I do collabs all the time. And then again, thank you guys so much for your time today.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.